In a college football world where many fans expected things after the COVID-19 pandemic to return to some sense of, quote, normal, it's been anything but that. These recent news of just Texas and OU leaving the SEC today, a statement was released saying they would not renew the conference's rights to their teams past 2024 or 2025. I think it's the latter from what I recall. And 3 days ago, and this is what I'm going to talk about here, along with some more conference realignment involving the Big Ten, there was a tweet released by Jack McGuire with heavy skepticism that reported that the SEC is in serious contact with Michigan and Ohio State. Now, before we get into this, let me just say that 90% of me wants to completely blow this off as absolute baloney, and I don't think it will happen. The SEC's northernmost member is, at the moment, it's Kentucky. That isn't far north at all. Ohio State and especially Michigan, that's 1 to 2 more states further north. You're not even the SEC anymore. But then again, as many of you in the comments have mentioned, my lovely viewers, keeping me in check, it's not about tradition or geography anymore. And especially with the NIL, the NCAA is even more, I'd say, they have more of a business mindset. And same with all the conferences. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma, I did some diving in, and it's totally the reason they are moving. I would bet any amount of money on, really, is 100% the more lucrative SEC TV deal. And the fact that all the SEC teams basically get $16 million more per year than Big 12 teams, and that's a crap ton of money. And Oklahoma and Texas are big enough, they have huge enough fan bases anyway, they generate more money than most of the SEC already. I think Texas is one of the programs that generates the most money. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But the Ohio State and Michigan moving to the SEC, again, 90% I think it's baloney, but I look at this from Jack McGuire, and though I take it as complete and utter trash, for the most part, it at the same time wouldn't surprise me. With everything that's going on with conference realignment, the Big 12 about to collapse, the Big 10 so far looks to be kind of the next in line to possibly expand. I say this because the Big 10 behind the SEC is the most powerful football conference in the eyes of next to everyone besides maybe Clemson fans. But I don't see how this would work. I don't even see how this would benefit Ohio State and Michigan. And maybe the SEC's TV deal is even more lucrative, but according to TVRev.com, an article about sports media rights, and I believe this article was written oh my goodness. Yeah, it was written February this year, February 18, 2021, and the Big Ten has 140 million extra media rights totals, 440 million compared to the SEC's 300 million. SEC totals are as of 2024. This is at like a payout that higher, same amount of teams, and granted, that's not everything. The SEC is a tougher conference, and Ohio State and Michigan are like the most well-known teams in the Big Ten. Having a bunch of the super teams in one conference definitely would have some benefits here. But I don't see why that Michigan and Ohio State, in a certain degree, would want to move to the SEC. The Big Ten is far better than the Big 12. The Big Ten, I'd say Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin are far more competent than the teams below Oklahoma. When we're talking about the two conference champions, you have Ohio State and everyone else, Oklahoma and really everyone else. But I'd say your Wisconsins, your Penn States, your Michigans, with the exception of maybe Iowa State next year, are better than anything else in the Big Ten. The far more lucrative TV deals for the Big Ten. Also, you got to look at the fact that, like, you compare the Big Ten and the Big 12, the Big Ten is more than double the annual payout of the Big 12. So it's understandable why Texas and OU, in retrospect, would want to move to the SEC, but I don't see why, for the sake of just TV deals, Michigan and Ohio State would want to break their conference tradition, which would upset massive parts of the fan bases, not just Michigan and Ohio State fans, but fans all around. I just don't see the point here. I really don't. And I don't think this makes sense in any way. Now, talking about just the Big Ten in general and Michigan and Ohio State, they could be getting, and I'll discuss this in a video this week, they could be getting some Big 12 members as well. It is important that Michigan and Ohio State, I think, if the Big Ten wants to keep itself alive, Michigan and Ohio State need to pressure the Big Ten to expand along with the SEC. And that may be unpopular with a lot of you, but I mean, I'm looking at teams like Iowa State, Kansas State. I mean, if the Big 12 does die, I'd say for a standpoint of keeping the Big 10 relevant, just staying aside would be a massive mistake. And maybe that's a very unpopular opinion, but that's just really what I think here. And if this is the future, if Ohio State and Michigan move to the SEC, if that is the future, I would be stunned and I would be upset for a long time. Plus, think about it. Alabama traveling to Ann Arbor, Michigan traveling to Tuscaloosa for conference games. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely asinine. That's more of a distance it's almost as much of a distance, if not more. Don't have the exact numbers, but that's like Texas A&M traveling to South Carolina. I don't know. And Michigan isn't even in the South remotely. We have this different climate, different weather, far different fan bases, and like Michigan's a Big Ten school. Alabama's always been an SEC school. It's absolutely crazy. So bear with me if you think that like I'm not the biggest expert here, because I'm not. But this is shocking to me. This is all new. I never expected this to happen. I expected some big things from, NIL and obviously more money being in the NCAA's flow. And it seems like all of this piling on top of each other, plus conference realignment, it's crazy. That's all I have to say for today. I'm going to be doing a video talking about who the Big Ten should expand to. I've already mentioned Kansas State, Iowa State, maybe Oklahoma State. I wouldn't like to do Oklahoma State, and I know that we can't do West Virginia. Again, Big Ten, you have to be an AAU member. I don't know if Iowa State, Kansas, or Kansas State are, but that's one thing to keep in mind. The Big Ten does have an academic boundary, and if, like West Virginia, as my viewers told me last video, West Virginia can't join the Big Ten. They have to have a certain height of academic standards. So I'm going to be studying a lot of that, and in another video, I'm going to be talking about who I think the Big Ten, hypothetically speaking, the possible teams the Big Ten can snatch in this next huge reshuffling of conferences. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. And that's all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.